Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Wednesdays with Will. I'm super excited to go ahead and start this new episode with you guys. The topic we're going to be doing today is something that I'm very, very familiar with. And you might see me move my hands a lot and see these wristbands. I'm okay, you guys. Me and my wife just actually had our first child. His name's Ezra. He was born on March 27th. And he is a preemie baby, so we can use some prayers right now. He's doing very well, though. He's able to, start breathing on his own already. He's already bigger than they expected him to be. He's very, very strong child, and we appreciate everybody that prayed for us during those hard times that we had. But he's doing well, and we know that God's with him right now. So that's just, if you're wondering why I had these little wristbands on, that's why, okay? But one of the things that I wanted to go ahead and talk to you guys about today was, I know we're having a series on preparing your family for the future. Now, one of the things that I wanted to talk to you guys about was prepare your family for the future when it comes to your finances, okay? Now, me and my wife actually have been working in the financial industry for over 4 years now. We both have our licenses to do the practice. We are actually in a process right now of getting our own brokerage firm. With everything that happened with the quarantine, it kind of delayed everything for us, but it's all right. We know it's in God's timing. But that's one of the things that we wanted to talk to you today was about some of the things that we deal with every day. Looking at families nowadays, we see a lot of people that are struggling, a lot of people that just don't know a lot of information when it comes to finances. You're usually not educated in school about different types of financial strategies that you guys can be using for yourself or your future. So one of the things I wanted to bring to you guys' attention today was some of these concepts that we know about that are very, very basic, something that you can practice with you and your family. But we want to help you guys out a little bit if that's okay with you guys. But one of the things that I'm going to go ahead and start talking about is just looking at statistics nowadays, you guys. It's said that 78% of all Americans right now are living paycheck to paycheck. That's a huge, huge portion of the population that if they don't get their next paycheck, they don't know what they're going to do. And you see a lot of people falling into debt nowadays just because they don't have enough money. It's a big, big problem that's going on right now in our country. But that's just one thing that I wanted to mention to you guys. But another thing is that less than half, or actually more than half of all of Americans right now have less than $1,000 in their savings account. Okay, now that's pretty scary because how fast can we spend $1,000? Pretty fast, right? In any type of emergency, if something happens and people don't have money saved up, it could be pretty devastating. And that's where you find, like I said, people fall into debt. Maybe they have to try to raise money somehow to be able to deal with some type of emergency, or maybe they're just not going to be able to get the help that they need. So one of the things I want to do is give you guys some strategies that we know about that we actually practice ourselves on our finances to be able to help you guys better off your future. So one of the things I wanted to ask you guys is, how do you manage your paycheck? Okay, so we want to look at when your paycheck comes in every week, 2 weeks, every month, however many times you get paid every single month. When it comes in, what is it exactly that you're doing with the money? One of the things that me and my wife want to do is we always track our finances. We have Finance Fridays. So that means we get together, we look over everything, see where our money's going, see what's going on with all the bills. And that's one of the things that we do every single week. And maybe you guys can start doing that yourself. Have a Finance Friday. Take an hour out of your day, sit down with your spouse, just go over the finances and make sure everything's going well. But one of the things that we do is we make sure that once we get our paychecks, you guys, the main thing that you guys have to do is you have to make sure you pay God first. I know it's in the Bible. It's a commandment that we are to pay our tithes. We are to give offerings. It's not just that you rob God with tithes, but He also says that you can rob Him in offerings, which is over and above what you give in your tithe. So if you have something that God laid on your heart, an amount to give, always make sure you keep giving that amount to your church. But also you want to make sure you give your tithe, which is 10% of your income. I know some people think it's scary to tithe, so where it's like, man, 10%, that's a lot of money. I know it is, but you have to have faith that God will still take care of you. For you to give 10%, I mean, honestly, it's a small portion because God owns everything. God owns everything that he gives you. So he could ask for 90% for himself and give you 10%, but he's only asking for 10% from you so you can keep the 90. But that's one of the things you want to do. So pay God first. Another thing, right after you pay God, I know most of you are like, okay, now I got to pay the bills, right? No, no, no. You have to pay yourself. Okay, a big, big mistake that a lot of people are making nowadays is they are not paying themselves before their the other finances that they're going through because they're scared. I know it's scary. I know to be able to start saving money, but it's an emergency. You need to have that. There's three basic emergency accounts that you need to have. Well, a different savings account you need to have, which is you need to make sure you have your savings account that's attached to your checking. Okay, that's for if you ever need money. You need to have an emergency account. Okay, that's the second one. You need to have some type of emergency account to make sure if anything happens, you have money laying around. And then also you need to have a retirement account, an account that's laid up for the future for when you can no longer work so that you can survive. You guys need to have those three types of accounts, okay? But that's one of the things that we always focus on is we make sure that we pay ourselves first. In the beginning, we started off small, maybe 5% of our paycheck came to us. And then we went ahead and as our incomes kind of grew, we went ahead and increased it a little bit to where now we're using a small portion, but it's still a big portion of our income to just go ahead and pay ourselves. But after you're done paying yourself, then you go ahead and make sure your bills are paid for, make sure everything's good with that, and then maybe make sure that you pay off some of your debt. If you have debt, make sure that you're paying that off. You don't be negligent with it. You want to make sure that your name, that your credit score, everything is completely fine. So you want to be able to pay off some of your debt. But that's basically the structure of how we manage our finances and how we make sure that everything's good with us. But one of the things that I want to talk to you guys about is how to basically live off of your income. So if you have 100% of your income coming in, okay, we know 10% is going to go to your tithe. And then what I would suggest is try saving at least 50% of your income, meaning now you're only living off of 40%. Okay, so let's say you're making $100,000 a year. You should be living like you're making 40,000 because that gives you the opportunity to be able to save a lot of your money. And some of you guys are like, man, like I don't make that much money. I can't live off of 40%. So what you have to do is find a way to increase your 100%. Okay, so increase your income so that you can increase your savings. And there's multiple ways out there that you guys know how we can make money. We live in a great country in America today. There's multiple ways that people can make money. Last time I checked, people weren't trying to leave America to go find opportunity. They were trying to come to America to find opportunity. There's opportunity out there. It's just we have to be open to it, and we have to be able to find the things that we love to do and find a way to make some income out of it. Some ladies are very good at cooking. Maybe start your own, cooking business, or maybe, some of these guys are very good with their hands. Maybe do like a side job, side gigs and stuff like that. Just try to make some extra income. Okay. But that's one of the things that I want to talk to you guys about was how to go ahead and live off 100%, or how to have 100% of your income, but try to live off of 40% so you can save. It helps you retire a lot faster. That's one of the things. But one thing I wanted to mention, you guys, was that God told us that we do need to be a good steward of our money. Okay, so I have a scripture right here. If you could pull your Bibles out and turn to 1 Peter chapter 4. 1 Peter chapter 4, we're going to look at verse number 10. It says, as every man hath received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of God. One of the gifts that God gives us is wealth. One of them is money. And, we have to be good stewards. That's why, it's important to make sure that when we are dealing with our money, we're doing it in a way that's honorable to God. Okay. You don't want to just be throwing your money here and there, anything like that, because, God gave it to you for a reason. But so you want to be good with your money in that way. And then we're going to go ahead and if we can turn to the book of Proverbs, we go into the next topic, Proverbs, and turn to chapter 13. Proverbs 13, we're going to look at verse number 22. It says, a good man leaveth an inheritance to his children's children, and the wealth of the sinner is laid up for the just. Okay. So right here, what we're looking at is an inheritance that you need to leave behind for your children. Some people are fortunate enough to when, well, not fortunate, but it's a sad time when a loved one passes away. but sometimes they leave money behind for the children, and that's a good thing to do. You want to make sure that you have something left behind for the generations that are behind you, to make sure that they can stay afloat and they can continue to serve God without having to worry about finances. But when we're looking at this scripture about leaving an inheritance behind, you have to learn. I know it's hard, but when you're out there and you see things you want, you have to learn to buy what you need and not what you want. Okay, so if before you buy something, and especially if it's of a great price, you need to ask yourself, is this something I need or is it something I want? Trust me, guys, when I do that, it changes the way that I look at things. But that's one of the concepts that we live by. Do I really need it or do I just want it? Try to stay away from debt. I kind of talked about it before. The only reason why you should have a credit card is so that you can increase your credit score, but never charge your card with more money than you have in your account. That's when you find a lot of people get into a lot of trouble when it comes to their credit. But every time you go to the gas station, you buy food, you go buy clothes or whatever, you could use your credit card, but just go ahead and right after you're done with that, go into your account and remove the money as if you actually paid with your debit card, and probably put in your savings account that you have right there. And at the end of the month, go ahead and pay that credit card off. And if you do that every single month, it's going to help your credit score a lot. But another thing is maybe start setting up some mutual funds or annuities. Mutual funds and annuities are great ways to invest for the future, to be able to make sure you have a lot of money for retirement, and then maybe some money for your kids at the end when you were to pass away, so that they can basically have money to survive off of. But look into mutual funds, look into annuities. Mutual funds are a little bit more risky, but they do have a big return. So if you're more on the I don't really want the risk side, if you're more conservative with your investments, look into annuities. Like they can help you out. And then also another thing that a lot of people do to be able to leave an inheritance behind is they buy a life insurance policy. This is one of the things that me and my wife do, is we actually help people out with these different types of life insurance policies. We help them out to be able to get their different types of investments, just help them out to set up for the future. But one of the great things that a lot of people do is one thing that you don't realize is a lot of wealthy families, they buy life insurance because it's basically you're getting free money. I know you're paying for it up front, but if you were to pass away, you get the money after, and it's money that you didn't even have to pay for. But that's how a lot of these wealthy families continue their wealth, is they buy life insurance policies to make sure that they have something left behind if they were to pass. It's a really responsible thing to make sure you have a policy, because if you were to pass away right now, average funeral, you guys, you're looking at $15,000, $20,000, $30,000. And if your family doesn't have that in an account right now, you need to make sure you have an insurance policy. But that's one of the things that you guys need to do. And then lastly, right here, one of the things that I tell a lot of my clients is, or not a lot of my clients, but a lot of our coworkers that are working with us, is I tell them, where you start off in your life is basically where your parents finished. Okay, their finish line. So if your parents finished off at a certain point, that's where you're going to start. And it's up to you to change that for your family, for your family tree, if you want them to have a better lifestyle. Okay, so it's all on you. Unfortunately, it's your responsibility once it's handed down to you, but you have to make sure you're being a good steward with your money, and that you're being able to make sure you have an inheritance left behind. And I just briefly touched on these subjects. So if you guys have any questions about finances, like I said, me and my wife, we've been licensed in the financial industry for about 4 years now, going on 5. We're doing really, really well. We're about to open up our own brokerage firm pretty soon here. So if you guys ever have any questions, feel free to go ahead and contact me. If you guys want to know more about different types of life insurance policies, there's some that you want to stay away from that are really hurting people. If you want to know about different types of retirement accounts, we can go ahead and get you guys in touch with some of the best in the industry to help you guys out with that too, okay? But those are just some things I wanted to go over with you guys. Is your family prepared for the future when it comes to finances, okay? I hope this helped you guys out today. We're super excited, like I said, to be able to have this type of series where we can help you guys better manage the future for your family. And we're super grateful. And like I said, thank you everyone that was praying for us for this past week with our new baby boy. We're really, really grateful. We know that God is with him in these times. But thank you guys, and we'll see you next week. All right, have a good one.